My talk at the table is about actress Rachel Brosnahan, who recently earned another Emmy nomination for her role in the Amazon Prime Video series The Marvelous Mrs Maisel. Brosnahan plays Miriam Maisel, or Midge as she's called, a 1950s housewife who decides to pursue a career in stand-up comedy. Take a look.
Nice to know that people haven't forgotten me. You haven't forgotten me. My kids have completely forgotten me. They've gotten very jaded having a mother in show business. I showed up the other day, my daughter pointed to her diaper and said, "Sweetie, would you get this?" Then she lit her cigarette, refilled her daiquiri bottle, and fired her agent. Now both her parents are in the biz. Oh yeah, this is what happens when you leave. Remember the first time?
I love this show. And the cool part is that Brosnahan brings that same energy to her work off screen. She serves on the board of directors for Covenant House, a nonprofit that helps homeless youth. And each year, she participates in the organization Sleepout, where volunteers sleep outside to raise money and awareness for the more than 4 million homeless kids in America. Rachel Brosnahan joins us now. Good morning, Rachel. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
This is actually your 8th year of participating in the Sleepout. You started doing this when you were on Broadway at 23, and you say it changed literally changed your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I was profoundly moved by my first Sleepout and getting the opportunity to see inside the Covenant House and meet some of the young people who called it home and meet some of the incredible staff who have dedicated their lives to this work. I was moved to make a commitment that night to stay involved, and I'm so proud and honored to be here 8 years later.
What moved you specifically, Rachel?
Well, I met a young man who called Covenant House home at the time, and he was 23 years old, and so was I, and I was really struck by how, with just a few small shifts in circumstance, we could be sitting on opposite sides of the table. Yeah. We were peers, and that is supremely unfair that our situations were so different.
Yeah. The Sleepout this year obviously has to be different. What are you going to do this year?
So this year, it'll be a virtual event, obviously, given what's going on in the country and in the world. But we'll be sleeping out wherever we can find a space, whether that be a backyard or a front yard or a living room. I think that's where we're going to sleep out tonight. But the programming will remain largely the same, just in our little computer boxes.
So the spirit will be the same as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You, as I mentioned, congrats on another Emmy nomination. How did you celebrate, by the way?
Yeah. Well, it's a little different right now. So I have a little pod that I've been with since March. And I don't know, we wanted to do something exciting, and somehow we came up with making match s'mores.
Yes.
Otherwise known as apartment s'mores.
Yeah, like
you light a match and you hold a marshmallow over it. And it did. It felt special and celebratory.
So are you planning to get dressed up for the Emmys themselves, even though you'll be at home?
I'm definitely going to do something special. Yeah. I mean, I get to bring my dogs to the Emmys. How often is that going to happen? It's going to be a fun night.
I was struck by something that I read you'd said before, which is that you'd actually lost parts because you weren't funny enough. That must have made auditioning for Mrs. Maisel, who's a stand-up comedian, pretty intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. It's still intimidating. We're 3-4 years in, and it doesn't get any less intimidating. But I think it just goes to show that we shouldn't put ourselves in those boxes. You know, for a long time, I had turned down auditions because I'd been told for so long that I wasn't very funny. It's also a testament to brilliant writing.
Yeah. Well, you could say brilliant writing, but Rachel, Gayle here, you could also say it's brilliant acting, because I love the show. I love you in the show. And I want to pick up on what Anthony was saying, because that's what I was thinking. I said she must have done stand-up comedy before, so to learn that you had never done it, because your timing and delivery is so good. So I wonder, how did you do that? And it's fun to watch the evolution of your character, because first she was a little tentative, and now she is all in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's just that, you know, at first she wasn't a tried and true tested stand-up. She was just a funny woman having a mental breakdown in a very public forum. And as she's gone on, she's had to learn and refine her craft, and that's been really fun for me in bringing her to life.
But how did you learn to do it, Rachel? Did you go to different comedy clubs? Is that how you became so good at it? I know it's acting, I get that. But how did you prepare for it?
Not as a stand-up, but I did drag poor Michael Zegan, who plays Joel, all over the city to various comedy clubs, mostly just to see how people were when they started, how they responded to unexpected success or unexpected failure in the moment. And I still try to go whenever I can. It wasn't a world I was very familiar with, but I watch a lot of stand-up now.
Yeah, I bet you do.
We'll be waiting for season 4 whenever you guys come back.
We're sorry you've been disrupted, but we can't wait till you get back to work. Rachel Brosnahan, thank you so much. The Covenant House stage and screen virtual Sleepout is tonight, and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is streaming now on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, if you haven't started watching, now's a good time since we're all at home and a collective time out.